The main villa versus Casa Amor. Name a better housing crisis. I will wait. Hello and welcome along to the Unpopular Opinion podcast. My name is Jen.
And I'm still living with my dad, Carla.
Welcome along to part 2 of the Unpopular Opinion on the housing crisis. This week in House of Unpopular, we're going to be reading listeners' experiences because there's a lot to get through.
There's a shitload.
There's been a huge reaction to this. It just kind of reflects on how
bad it is.
How bad it is and how much it does affect people, and especially people in our generation.
Absolutely,
You know.
So I think we're just going to get into it. Basically, we're just going to be reading out your guys' situations, any comments, any thoughts we might have on them. And obviously, I mean, we've so many messages to get through. So if you're not read out, real saws. But we're trying our best because we've had plenty messages. Doesn't mean that your situation is any less important.
Exactly.
In fact, it might be too important to even put live.
Yes.
If you feel my flow. So let's get it crack-a-lackin' here. So we're going to keep everybody anonymous just to let you know if you're writing into us and you want us to be in, or you want us to keep you anonymous. We generally will now. I think it's probably just a bit easier.
For this particular
Unless you're
subject.
like, my name is blah.
Yeah.
Call me out. Shout me out. So we said, hey, so delighted to see 2 full-time working women talking about the housing crisis. All I hear in the news is social housing, people being put in hotels, HAP schemes, etc. What about us who don't want or need a handout? Us who will work and still can't afford to live. My partner and I live in Toronto. We rent a fabulous apartment with a pool and a gym for a little less than what we pay for a bed sit in Ballymun. Honestly dreading coming home because we know the only option is to live with my mum and save for probably 5 years before getting a lifelong mortgage.
That's terrible, isn't it? That's the outlook for most people.
Well, I do totally understand where she's coming from. I don't feel like it is spoken about enough about, what about 2 full-time, like a couple that are both full-time that are trying, their best to get a mortgage, and they're basically kind of just being pushed out more and more.
Exactly. And
now I know that any dependable, what is it? It's 10k. They give you 10k less per dependable per child.
Well, I know for definite they will automatically. I can't remember. I don't know how to actually. What the term is, but they will automatically add €250 onto your expenditure, like your outgoings, if you have per dependent, even though that's probably being nice. Do you know what I mean? Like €250 per month per child, that's what they will put down as your expenditure, so they'll take that into your cost of living. I don't know about I've never heard of that 10k thing now, to be honest with you.
I think so. I think a couple of people discuss it, but we'll crack on anyway. We'll clear that up by the end of the pod.
Well, now when I was in my mortgage meeting there last week, because I was like, oh God, is that, because I was pretty sure that I did a mortgage calculator online, that's what it was, and then what we got quoted for what we could get was less than what I had done on the mortgage calculator, and I was like, is that because when I did the mortgage calculator I wasn't pregnant and now I am? And he was like, no, never even took the kid into consideration, it's probably less. And I was like, oh, fabulous.
I do feel like, because I did the mortgage calculator and it was like giving me and Tom like 380k or something, and I was like, sorry, now we definitely don't earn that much money.
I think give it did I say this in the last podcast, or did I say this to you beforehand about the exceptions?
Yeah, you were saying it in the last pod.
Did I say it in the last pod? Yeah. Just a recap, just in case I didn't, because I feel like I was talking to Carla about this before the pod, so I don't know. The fella that we were talking to was saying that you're better off applying for a mortgage at the start of the year, because there will be exceptions. You'll say you and your partners, or you alone, will be calculated what you can get in a mortgage based off your earnings, off your expenditure, all that kind of stuff. But there are banks that will give exceptions to people, but it's more, they have a quota for the year, so you're in with a better chance of being an exception and getting more of a loan off a bank like towards the start of the year, because they can use them up, do you know what I mean? You can kind of, I think it's picked at random, like he was saying, it's like an algorithm that all the mortgage advisors where he works always try and figure out what is it that gets it to trigger for certain couples. Like it's the computer, it will computer say yes or computer says no.
Really?
Yeah, basically. But I feel like the mortgage calculator is giving you best case scenario to get you to go in.
To get you to be like, oh my God, we can get a house for like that amount of money. That is insane. Exactly. And then you get in and they'll be like, gas. No, 280 chicken.
Yeah,
I'll be
exactly.
like, oh.
Yeah, I think the mortgage calculator nearly treats it as an exception.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So be very wary
maximum,
of it.
Yeah, the maximum. Yeah, because I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
What is this?
It definitely gives you best case scenario, so be wary of it. And I think it's just applied to get you in.
To get you in, to get you chatting, to get you
chatting, to get you to open a savings account.
There you go. Right, next person. Hey, gals. So my situation's probably one of the stranger ones you may hear. We love a strange situation. I'm 26, my other half is 32. We've one sprog aged 4 and we have another on the way. After moving 3 times in 3 years, we swore to ourselves that next time we were going to move was to be into our forever home. We were $2,000 off our goal for deposit, and I was sitting down to tell my mum this with excitement. My mum had her own house, the one she bought when I was 14, but was working and renting in Dublin. Long story short, she offers us to buy her house off her, face value, no interest, no going through banks. We pay $350 a month rent, and then in 13 years, when she's at retirement age, we'll give her a lump sum of $70,000. We have contracts signed by solicitors, so we're all covered. House was only built in 2007, 4-bed in a great location in Roscommon. To say we landed on our feet is an understatement.
Wow, oh, that is
fabulous.
Imagine.
That's nice. Well done.
It's so nice. I always hear of people who are in situations like that. Do they... Okay, so is the mom still going to be living there? It doesn't specify, because they were saying $350 a week. Is she still going to be living there? I don't know. But now you often hear stories of, like inheritance, houses being handed down.
Yeah.
I would like... Now, there's been a house in inheritance in my family, but they just wanted to sell it, like, because of the location that it was in and stuff. Like, they had a bad history to the house that they wanted to just get rid of it. But I would have loved to just, even for a couple of years, just live in it to be able to save. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're in a position where you can kind of live in like a derelict house that's within your family to save, all the better. Like, that'd be unreal.
Yeah, there's all these little like what ifs, I feel like, as well, just with like property and stuff. Like my grandparents' house, my granny passed away in 2010, and then my aunt, who's the last person who lived in it, was 2011. She passed away. So I remember I just always wanted to buy that house. Now,
that's what I was like with that house.
Yeah, I was just like, I just always wanted to buy that house. Now, that house is probably a little bit out of my budget in the fact that it was in Deer Park in Castleknock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're talking in the millions here. So it was always going to be a little bit out of my budget. But, when you're like, one day I'll get it, or something will happen that I'll figure it out, or I'll be able to work it out with my family. But my dad and his brothers and sisters decided to sell it. Yeah. Obviously, that was like 10 years ago or something like that. But still, to this day, I'm fucking fuming.
Yeah.
Because the people who bought it have just totally redone it, and I hate the way that they've redone it.
Oh,
and I just drive by it all the time, and I'm like,
I remember you saying this.
Yeah.
On a drive home from Eddie Rockets one night.
Yeah, I was like, that's the house that Ray grew up in, and look how they ruined it.
Yeah. And now, in fairness, the house that was in my family that they ended up selling, they they kind of just wanted to get rid of it just because of the history that's in the house. I don't remember if you remember the drugs episode that we talked about legalising drugs. It was the house that got shot at, basically. So it was like, no, let's get rid of that. Maybe we'll just get rid of that. Yeah, it would have been great to be able to just kind of stay in it for a while, because it was safe. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like all that history was in it years ago, but I would have loved that. And to this day, I was like, I do be kind of like, I'd probably have my house by now if I did that. Do you know, if I was able to live there? But I completely understand why they wanted to get rid of it. But in saying that, I have drove past it a couple of times, and the family that are living in it really appreciate it.
Oh,
and they've
really?
Done it up lovely,
Okay.
do you know what I mean? Because I actually think it went back to the corporation, and so it went into social housing. So it's somebody who got it through social housing.
Social housing, which is
but
nice.
she's as far like this is through the grapevine now. Do you know what I mean? We wouldn't really know that many neighbours that are still on that road or whatever. But this is through the grapevine that her dad's a builder. He was able to go in and do loads of bits to it. Yeah. So she's really making the most out of it, which I'm really happy to hear that as well. That she's looking after as well.
Yeah. Well, there's that. Like, I mean, I think it was 2 doctors that moved into that house. But it's just like, I don't know. It's just the way that they redid it that just makes me really upset. Like, I mean, I can't. Like, it's just there was just
probably
so
lovely
many
people.
Oh, really nice people, and their kids are fabulous, and I'm so glad because the garden's huge, and I like that kids were made for that garden kind of thing. But I'm just fuming. Yeah, just kind of fuming. It's not mine really. Yeah. Big fucking massive 5-bed, kind of fuming. You know what I mean? Oh yeah. Just fuming that me and Tom can't just move into this massive gaff and be like, oh hi guys, I'm really sorry to all the cousins, but this is mine now. I'm sure they'd be fucking chuffed. They'd be like, fuck off. Oh, right. Oh, this is a good one. I moved to Dublin 7 years ago and was paying €400 in rent. I'm still in the same apartment, but now I pay $850 in rent for the same room, so I decided enough is enough, I want my own place. I'm quite fortunate at 29 to have a great career to date and earn a 6-figure salary. Ooh.
Wow.
Are you single?
Imagine. It's a man, is it?
Yeah. No.
Doesn't matter.
Even if it was a girl, I don't give a shite. Are you
Still.
single? You're on 6 figures. No, listen. I thought I'd be the golden mortgage applicant with regular savings and consistent rent payments. That is true. I had regular savings, but my job took me to New York on secondment for 3 months. I had more than my 10% deposit saved and decided to enjoy my time in New York and stall my savings for 3 months. Dead right chicken. When I came back, 2 banks refused my application because in the most recent 6 months I had only saved for 3 to 6 months, even though I had 7 year savings and more than I needed for the deposit. Did you get that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I went back to square one and I saved for another 6 months, saw an apartment I fell in love. Went sale agreed and the seller pulled out because they said they could make more cash by continuing to rent. My mortgage in principle has now expired and I need to go through the application process again. It's beyond tedious and invasive, and although I'm on a good salary, the cost of an apartment in the city centre in both centre is still beyond 3.5 times my salary. At this stage, I feel like I'll have saved enough to buy a house with cash before I get the application approved and close on the property. You probably will.
You probably will, yeah.
I also think the rental regulations are causing issues. To me, it seems that landlords are kicking out tenants and selling the property to then repost as rentals to avoid the cap of 4% rental increases every 2 years. Not sure if this gives a full picture of everything, but we'll be happy to answer any questions before you record on Wednesday. Keep the great work up. Also, shout out to the newly built apartments in Ballsbridge costing 850 grand for a 1-bed.
What?
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
Like, I thought around here was bad because you're looking at like, I mean, top tier, you're looking at like 500, 600k for a 2-bed. But like, a lot of the two bed apartments around here start at like 350 or something, which I think is fucking a scandalo.
Yeah.
A scandalo.
She's gone a loco talking about a scandalo. Yeah. No, that's crazy. G4 Ballsbridge City Centre is fucking mental.
Mad. Isn't it?
But it's so unfortunate. Like, look at how well this person is doing for themselves, earning 6 figures. Such a good history.
Yeah, like a great, like, solid human. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Not that we're not all solid humans.
So fucking obvious what's after happening there, but it's still not good enough for them, like, do you know what I mean?
And it must be heartbreaking, especially, you know how tough it is to save and to kind of keep yourself sane while you're saving. Yeah. Because everything is, like, money conscious, isn't it? And, like, I'm quite, like, in the mindset of, like, I hate the fact that my life is manipulated by money. Yeah. Like, I'm not a very money motivated girl. I'm not that kind of, I'm just, as you can probably fucking tell from my Instagram, I'm just not that kind of gal. But it just kills my soul because it really does become like down to that, like, you can't, will we go out? No, we don't want. Will we do this? No, we won't.
You become obsessed with, it's like the money that's coming into your pocket and then going out as well. And it's a horrible way to have to be. But like, why is it that it just seems that Ireland is the only fucking place, doesn't it? Ireland and America, I think, are in the same sitch.
America's different, I do find, because, like, I was talking to my aunt about this. My aunt lives over in Washington, and my youngest cousin is 23 and he is on a whopper salary because over there he does biomedical or some mad shit like that. Anyway, him and his bird basically do the same kind of thing, but they're on whopper salaries because over there for some reason you just get on whopper salaries. Obviously you work very hard for them, but you know what I mean. And they are renting for a year, but their rent is like, I think they're renting 15 minutes outside DC. It's on a train line, and their rent for a 1.5 bed, I'm going to say, because you could barely fit a bed in the second bedroom, is like 3k a month.
Wow.
And she just thinks it's madness because she's a lovely big house 30 minutes outside that he used to commute to all the time because he went to school in DC anyway. 30 minutes outside the centre, but he had the basement to himself, and the basement has a bedroom, a kitchen, a TV room, it has a like gaming corner, it has its own bathroom, basically like having your own fucking flat underneath. So she just thought it was mad that they decided to do the renting thing, but he was just like, I just want to get away from my family for a bit and to kind of decide if this is what we're going to do. But she's just a bit like, how are you going to save and also do that? But the reasons why I think the rents are so high over there is because their salaries are so much bigger. Like they start on a much larger salary. Like a lot of starter jobs over there, from like if you're coming straight out of a like degree or something like that, you're starting on 50-60.
No, it does make sense. And it was only announced today actually that the livable wage has risen because of the housing crisis in Ireland. So the livable wage now technically, and I still think it's very low, is $12.30 an hour. That's
really low for fucking
really
Ireland.
Low
That's
for
ridiculous.
Ireland. Like it is. I don't know where they pulled that out of. Like
San Francisco's $16 an hour now.
Is it?
Because it's so fucking expensive to live in San Francisco.
But the people that were, I don't know who was getting interviewed on the radio, but they were the ones saying, listen, this livable wage would have actually gone down if rents weren't so fucking high.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But the livable wage is actually going up now. But the thing about it is, employers don't think about shit like that. Like say for instance, I was earning $12.30 an hour. Like for say for the last couple of years. Now that's the livable wage, i.e. nearly, you kind of need to be earning that to be able to live. And
that's the whole idea of it being a living wage.
But my bosses, like, this is theoretical now, but my bosses aren't going to turn around and go, oh, Jen Hatton's she's on $12.30 an hour. She's already been on that. Maybe we should hike that up a bit.
Yeah, they're not going to be like, let me give you an extra euro an hour.
Fucking hope. That's the thing, and that's what's so unfair about it, because I feel like everybody's wage went down in the recession, and it
didn't come back up. Exactly, it hasn't come back up. No,
and like the employers are getting away with fucking more. So are the landlords. Yeah, it's just infuriating.
How is it like the working normal people and like the disadvantaged are like just consistently fucked over? This is an unpopular opinion. What?
Are the disadvantaged fucked over though? I really don't think that they are, Carla. I know too many people who have never worked a day in their lives, and they're all living in their forever home because it was handed to them.
See, I don't know anything about that.
See, I know too many people who that's happened to. This is what I find is even now, like that. I'm not tarring everybody with the same brush here. Do you know what I mean? Like you will often hear of like, oh, this happened to this person, they got handed out, they never work, and you think of somebody who was on Jeremy Kyle. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not tarring anybody with the same brush here, but it does seem very unfair. I'll just give you an example, right? I know a girl who, first of all, she was renting. She didn't work. She was renting, got most of her rent paid for her by, it was called rent allowance at the time, now it's called HAP. Then the landlord decided that they wanted to sell the apartment. Yeah. And I probably would have been kind of okay with it. Well, not that, me not being okay. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I kind of would have understood more if she had actually looked for somewhere else, but she didn't. Her first thing that she said was, right, well, I'm just going to declare myself homeless. I'm going to live in a hotel for a year and I'm going to get me forever home. And that's exactly what happened. That was less than 2 years ago.
So how do other homeless people struggle so much with housing then?
I don't know. This is the thing. Like, And
is it like one of
it's
these
why-
who you know kind of situations? I don't know.
Oh no, it's definitely not. Like she was through the ringer, and some of the stories that you'd hear from her situation and the different people that were staying in the hotels, and that it's not a nice situation to be in.
Yeah.
And like she had a dependent as well at the time, very young dependent, and the child was kind of coming out with statements, and it was like, where did that child even pick that up from?
Okay, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You were
But
like, sorry, who have you been around?
Yeah, it was because of the situation that they were in. But like the fact that she was getting most of her rent paid for her in the first place, and I know that they can, like landlords, they can't legally advertise that there's no HAP or social welfare payment allowed, but realistically, if you go to view a house, if you even get to speak to the landlord or the estate agent, they can still make the decision just not tell you it's because you're on social welfare. Do you know what I mean? Even though I feel like that's a bit more...
I think it's more secure.
So do I.
Yeah, because it's always going to be there.
Yeah.
But I will rebuttal you on it, because I will say, what that year, like, what did it cost her sanity in that hotel?
I don't know.
It's
like I didn't...
imagine somebody told you you're going to get your forever home, but you're going to be, for one whole year, for 12 months, you're going to be on edge, anxious. You're not going to be able to control a lot of your life. I just don't know. So maybe she deserves her fucking forever home is what I'm trying to say.
I'm going to disagree with you on that.
Yeah.
I just feel like she never really did anything for it, and she was given it.
Yeah, but like I do feel like with the housing crisis as well, I think that it plays a lot into mental health, and I think it plays a lot into like mental stability, because in all fairness, it's driving me up the fucking wall. I know it's driving you up the wall.
Yeah.
I can only imagine how like hopeless it is for like a €40,000 together income that are trying to basically not live in fucking the back arse of nowhere. Be commutable, have kids, all that other kind of stuff. Like that plays on your sanity.
Yeah.
I do feel like sometimes, obviously you know the situation more than I do, but I do feel like sometimes like how far are we willing to go to like sacrifice our memories? And her child will always remember that.
Yeah, I know.
A year in a fucking hotel. Like,
listen, I don't fucking begrudge the child of it. I'm delighted
God, yeah.
that the child is in a much more secure position now.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'd never take that away. It was just her decision at the time pissed me off, because I was like, if I wanted to be in her position, if I wanted to get a house like that and be guaranteed a house in literally on, like, you don't know how fucking great this location is where she's living now. Like, it's fucking ideal.
Really?
I know that if I wanted that, I would have to literally sell my soul to the devil.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I've been working literally since the day I left school. I'm still working in the place where I did my work experience. They offered me a job after I finished school. Literally have not stopped for a fucking hot day.
Yeah.
And I'm in the position that I'm in. Now, I should have been saving. I know that.
But
the thing is, like, but at the same time, look at the other end of the scale. Look at people who haven't worked since they left school. And look, they're in a much better position than I am.
But that's it, isn't it? Like, it's that kind of split. But also, I think people that don't try in life will always end up lesser than you in life. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what way it'll come around to you. It doesn't matter, like, they might have got lucky with this, they'll get very unlucky with something else. Do you get me? I do feel like it'll come back. I get it. As far as housing go, that's a huge thing.
Yeah, no, it's not even about that. I don't even, like, I don't take anything away from the girl's personality or anything like that, or like, I'm delighted that her and her child have the forever home now, and that they have that stability. Like I said, I'd never begrudged them of it. It just, when you compare the two situations and the two, like, just the two situations, and what I've done over the past 14 years and what she's done over the past 14 years and where we are now, it's a bit,
it's
unfair, like.
But then at the same time, I've always been a saver. Like, I've broke my bollocks saving and all this other stuff, and I've watched many people get handed stuff to them that I'd love to be handed.
Oh yeah, it's the same as like inheritance and stuff like that.
Exactly.
It is the same,
you know, and that's coming from somebody who's got an inheritance before, you know, so like, it is kind of,
it's just when the people who are running the country are doing this, as opposed to like a rich auntie. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, you're not wrong. It is. It's when you see that, it's like, Well, in fairness, you could be doing a lot more to help the people who have been working at it and just aren't getting a fucking break.
But I also will say that, and again, we could go back and forth about this for ages. I will say that, like, we're comparing to surface level situations.
Oh, absolutely, and it's so much more complex than
and
that.
There just could be, like, as I said, like, these things tend to happen for the disadvantaged for a reason.
Yeah.
And whether it pays off now or pays off later in life or something goes cracked for them, as I was saying about the whole year in a hotel and all that other kind of stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't say, like, I'm not enjoying myself living in my ma's for what I
definitely
hope
not.
is only going to be a year, so I can only fucking imagine that situation. And like that, don't take anything away from that person. It's just when you look at the key aspects of the differences between the two of us and where we are now, it just seems very unfair. Now, I will full disclaim say, if I had been smart and if I had been saving, do you know what I mean?
And
like,
I'm gonna bring
I
this
could
back.
be in the same fucking position that she is. I could be in my home. I'm
going to bring this straight back, and I know we're all going to be like, wow, Carla, really education again? But that is to do with education. And if we had only, like, stopped teaching me about fucking
Pythagoras theorem,
the Pythagoras theorem and what the square root of pi is, and just do 1 hour a week on, like, financial stability, how to pay your taxes, what you should be looking for earlier on in life, how much you should be saving out of every paycheck. I remember hearing a thing, and it's like, you should be going up in 5% increase every year in your salary. And that's apparently, that's like,
I wish
that's more like it's more like stability to you than anybody who's just gone from like a 20 grand job to a 40 grand job to a, you know what I mean? They're saying that your salary, if you to do basically, like, now again, it's a fucking American saying, and obviously over there things are different, but it is kind of one of those things. You should be looking at a 3 to 5% increase in your salary every year for you to kind of feel like you're progressing as far as money goes. But there you go, it's Ireland. So I have another one here. This is actually very interesting. I'm like, this is very interesting. This is very interesting. This one's interesting.
These are all so fucking interesting.
What can I say? Hey gals, just listening to the latest podcast on the housing crisis. Just my 2 cents. I'm 24 and I actually work in a bank, and it's made me realise that a mortgage is so out of reach for me, it's so upsetting. I've been with my partner 5 years and we're both still at home. We put away $800 a month, but we still don't earn enough to get a decent mortgage. The houses being built are not affordable at all 3 to 4 bed houses for mostly second time buyers. Absolutely love the podcast. Keep up the good work. Thanks, babes.
Thank you.
Now, wow.
That's where my cousin works for a bank. Now she's she doesn't work for them anymore, but she was the exact same. It's funny that she was working in a bank and couldn't afford a mortgage.
It is crazy,
so
isn't
weird.
it? Like, it is mental. And
I would think that a bank would pay it enough to be able to afford a mortgage, like. Yeah, that's very strange.
It is crazy, but I think also what she said about people, the houses that are being built are all 3 to 4 beds.
Yeah.
Me and Tom don't need a fucking 3 to 4 bed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But at the same time, we don't want to live in a fucking apartment. It's just not our kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And I also don't like, I mean, this, I'm like, and I don't want to do this and I don't want to do that, but I just do think it's fucking, like, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Again, like, life is all about time and how much time you have. And, like, the problem is with commuting is that you're adding time onto every single thing that you do. Like, it doesn't matter what the fuck it is. You're literally adding, like...
Come here. You're preaching to the fucking choir here. I lived in Summerhill, out beside train for 3 years, and I had to add an hour on to every single thing that I was doing. That's 2 hours out of my day before I even fucking did it.
Before you even blink.
It was crazy, and the prices out there are now on par with Dublin.
I know, it's mad, isn't it?
It's like you'd have to go further again. Do you know what I mean? You're talking about living out in Kells or Cavan before you're looking at something that you could actually afford. And even Adam said to me the other day, because one of his cousins just bought in Cavan, and he just keeps saying it to me about, like, oh, he just bought
Cavan.
I'm just like,
Cavan.
fuck
And
off,
you're like,
I'm not going to Cavan.
I'd rather a fucking...
I couldn't deal with Summerhill. I wouldn't be able to fucking live in Cavan.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
it's too far away from your family.
Jesus Christ, like, Summerhill was 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Cavan's like 50. I've counted 50, 55. That's only fucking BJD. That's only Ballyjames Duff. Do you know what I mean? That's on the edge of fucking Cavan.
Yeah.
Some people from Cavan wouldn't even call Ballyjames Duff Cavan.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you know what I mean? I can't be dealing. And she's so right about what I was saying last week, and I don't think I actually reiterated it the way that I was supposed to. She was saying about the second-hand houses, So basically, you know what that Help to Buy scheme?
Mm-hmm.
You can only buy a new build. So
Yeah.
you're stuck buying either a little box of a 2-bed
Mm-hmm.
with no garden whatsoever,
Yeah.
or you're stuck buying a 3 or 4 bed,
Yeah.
which is more than likely going to be out of your reach. Now, they'll give you up to 20 grand towards your deposit if you qualify.
Yeah.
Up to. Now, that could mean 5 grand.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They might do that. Or...
Which in the grand scheme of things, 5 grand is absolutely fuck all. Like,
fuck all.
Yeah.
So you either have that choice, or you have the other choice, is that you could go to Rebuild in Ireland, but you have to be like told no by a bank twice. So you risk actually getting a mortgage off a bank for a second time build, but you have to build up the whole deposit. Like whichever situation you choose, if you can't afford a new build, you're fucked either way.
I was about to say, you go to this wall and you're fucked. You go to this wall and you're fucked.
And you're fucked.
Yeah.
Like they're letting on that they're helping you, and I was like, oh yeah, those schemes are great. Yeah, they're fucking great. But the more you think about them, it's like, yeah, well, if you
These schemes aren't so great.
They're not so great, guys, because like they could give you up to 20 grand of a deposit on a house that you can't afford, or you can save the whole fucking thing, like the whole deposit yourself, which is going to take you at least another year.
Mm-hmm.
And then a bank, like, oh,
it's crazy, yeah.
I'm getting annoyed again.
Well, you're not going to love what I have to say to you now. So, hi Jen and Carla, we've been trying to buy our council house for over a year now. We initially applied back in 2018 after jumping through hoops for a council. 15 months later, we were refused on a difference of €26 per week. This difference was between the mortgage and our current rent and savings. We went back to them asking why at the time of application we were offered a higher loan than we were looking for, yet at the end of the application process they maintained that we couldn't cover the actual mortgage. We're very lucky to have no loans, credit cards or HP on cars. What's HP mean?
Higher purchase.
Oh right. What does that mean?
Like flexi rent, like a loan.
Oh, like finance?
Yeah,
okay.
Finance, yeah.
Okay, that's all right. And we were lucky enough to always have money in the bank before payday at the end of the month. We went back to the council to appeal the decision. They received the appeal on the 20th of February 2019, and still as of today we have not received an update on the appeal. This system was put in place to help families buy their council house, yet they don't appear to want to help the families with members receiving a wage and the other on a disability benefit to secure a home for their children. I'm sick of feeling that even though I have a great job and a very good wage, over 30k, I'm not good enough to get a mortgage, even through the council. It's so disheartening.
Oh God, I
like,
don't know how
heartbreaking. They just want, like, that's another thing. I'm like, just fucking let them buy the house that they're in. They're in the fucking thing. They're there. They're happy. They're chilling. You know,
like the difference of €26.
€26, which is what, like 100 and it's probably like 120 a month.
That's ridiculous.
Which is honestly not a lot.
It's not a lot. I'm actually so fucking annoyed for you. That's so unfair, isn't it? And it's just the way that the country is. This is the thing. And the fucking councils and the government. Fuck the government.
Fuck the government. Fuck you, Leo. You're blood and sick. Yeah. So, on the flip side of the scales.
Okay.
Hey guys, love the podcasts. We are landlords, husband and myself, and in social circles I'm almost afraid to say it because of the lynching I will get from people who don't really have a clue about how it works. Much like your podcast today, people have a very one-sided view of how it works, and landlords all over are made out to be money-grabbing, cold-hearted villains. People who rely on the quote-unquote system or have never been self-employed have a real entitled view and have no idea how much a self-employed person had to sacrifice in order to run a legit business company. We are farming, he's self-employed, and I'm a stay-at-home mum. Mostly by choice, but in reality, the hours he works and the amount I need to be on hand in the farm would make it very difficult. We have recently made a few small apartments that rent out to supplement the farm. Landlords can have an income of 14 grand a year, tax-free, to 170 a week. People on the dole don't get much, also less tax-free. Every cent after that is taxed at a whopping 62%. Wow. That's made up of unearned income tax, as we're not going out physically working for that money, and the rest is standard USC. It actually boils my blood when I hear someone say, ooh, the landlord gets $1,200 a month into his hands. Sure, he's rolling in it. It's such an uneducated jump on the bandwagon type comment that nobody takes into consideration. 1. Paying 62% tax on any decent earnings you make. 2. The property that is probably owed on the mortgage that's probably owed on the property. 3. Paying insurance. 4. Solicitors for contacts. 5. Accountants to keeping taxman from the door. 6. Dealing with rude entitled tenants who have more rights to the property than the landlord does. 6. While said tenants will benefit from dole, job seekers, medical card, 50C prescriptions. What? 50 cent prescriptions?
Well, GMS medical card prescriptions, you only pay €2 per item. It used to be just 50 cents though.
Ah, very good. Actic if they need it. We get nothing from the government in the way support we need it, although we have paid so much more tax than in any normal working person would have had. We don't even get an old age pension when we turn 66. What we are getting now from the rent is to support us in our old age, and God forbid something happens now to us or our kids. That means that we can't farm. It really hurts to hear people begrudge us of that ability to support our family when they choose to be ignorant around what landlords are liable for, when in reality, as long as our tax is that high, then we have no choice to pass it on to the tenant. I hope this makes sense. I just want to give another view on the topic. Thanks for entertaining us.
That is a very good point. So did I. Every day is a school day, and I wasn't.
At the start, everyone's like, and then by the end, I was like,
yeah. Well, considering that I was in that exact position, not as a tenant, I'm not in receipt of any social welfare payment. It was the username. Is that my old landlord?
Oh my God.
Show me that. Hang on. Oh, it's a WhatsApp.
Oh my God, that'd be so.
Oh my God,
funny.
I need to check my phone book.
Is that my old landlord?
Is that you? Like my landlord. Now that every day is a school day, because that's what I was thinking. I actually said in the last podcast, it was so ironic that the landlord was like, "Oh, you'd be better off getting a mortgage," because I was like, "You are literally the person who's upping the rent," but like that you don't think of. You don't think of
those kind of things. Yeah.
What I'm gonna be completely honest here. What I thought was, there's no mortgage on that house. Built it.
Yeah.
That's completely paid off. Probably rolling in it, being a farmer.
Yeah. Everybody thinks that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a valid point.
That was just pocket money for whoever in the family, like one of the kids, their wife, or something like that. So, yeah. Now, the fact that me and Adam work full time, we're not like that. We're not getting, like, we don't have a medical card. We don't even have a GP visit card. I think we earn like €15 too much for a GP visit card. You know,
lucky
that kind
you,
of crap.
yeah, lucky you.
Even though the doctor's 55. So, like, we work full time, and we felt like our wage was basically going on rent and bills. So it's interesting to hear that side of the story, because we did kind of, especially when the rent was getting upped for this, you know what I mean, especially in that situation when it's like, why, how much more do you want from us? Like, what else can we physically do? Do you know what I mean? What the fuck else are you going to ask for next? Do you know what I mean? So it is interesting to hear that side of the story. Yeah,
exactly.
Also, check the number. It's not my old landlord.
Oh, unfortunate.
No, don't say that, because I do want to feel sorry for them.
Yeah, I suppose true. And again, it is per situation now. I know there's many money grabbers out there. Yeah. They could be totally fine. Like, inherited all of the crack.
Yeah.
So we have another quick one here, just to let you know, you can get help to buy and rebuild Ireland together.
Can you? Mm-hmm. How does that work though?
I will ask.
Because the help to buy has to be on a first time build, whereas rebuild in Ireland, you can buy a second hand home. Maybe it's you can get rebuilding on a first time home.
I've asked, and I'll post the answer on the
Instagram that's really interesting. I'd love to know that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the two of them are government backed schemes, so like I can't see why they wouldn't be. So that would be good, like, to be able to get your bit towards your deposit, and then if you get told no twice by the bank, it still goes to them. Yeah. You're essentially getting a mortgage off the council or whatever. The government. The fucking government!
The government. Fuck the government.
You're probably just literally headlocked in for first time bill. That's probably the only thing with that.
Mm-hmm. So we've another one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a single parent with 2 small kids, and I had been renting, but I just couldn't afford it anymore, so I moved home. Long story short, my mum decided to help me build an eco-friendly log cabin in her land behind the family home without planning, which I know we shouldn't have done, but for various reasons I needed to be out of the family home. The county council found out about this and have been fighting me for the last while to take my home down. I'm a single parent who has never been on the housing list, so if I have to take this down, I will be homeless. I've never asked for anything from them, but now I basically have to sign on the list and hope to God that somehow I've something before they make me rip down the log cabin. It doesn't make sense when Ireland had such a housing problem, and I did this without asking for a house from the government and doing it from our own money and our private land.
I'd love to know the reason why they're asking her to rip it down.
No planning permission.
I don't think you need it over a certain level.
Really?
Like, there's certain extensions you can put on the back of your house without getting planning permission.
Really? Because
Yeah.
like, I suppose it just depends on the area though, Jen, because I know people who have had to get planning permission for like a bare conservatory.
porch, probably,
like
yeah.
basically like a fucking extension.
Right, okay.
You know?
Well, then it does depend, because there's, like, I know plenty of people who have built extensions on the back of their homes, literally blocking out other people's sunlight, and they haven't
Yeah.
had to get it.
I think it might just be that I'm not. Oh, Jesus Christ! Sorry, nearly just fucking voice noted you back. I don't think every situation is the same. I don't, to be honest, as far as planning permission goes, I know it's a very sketchy, complicated gaff or complicated situation. As far as that goes, I'm in two minds. I'm going to play devil's advocate. I do feel like if they got away with this, what's to stop everyone doing it?
Yeah, and then you're going to have landlords doing
And
it as
then
well.
you have this kind of, it's almost like a rolling effect. So I can see why they kick up a fuss about it, but I do feel like maybe they should be granted, do you get me? They should be granted to keep it,
In the
but I don't
interim
feel like
of this housing crisis.
in the interim of her particular situation.
And the fact that she's family. She's
Yes.
not.
Yeah, it's not like some fucking randomer that's just cruised onto the land being like, hey, peace,
Like a
what's
lodger.
up? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but I do feel like obviously in this case it could be like,
Yeah.
you know, but
Like, 'cause
again,
that's-
rules are rules for a reason.
Of course, but what's to stop them from, okay, right, rip down your log cabin, go out and buy a fucking mobile home, put it in the exact same spot. They're not going to be asked to rip that down.
True.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know, and I only say this because years ago, my auntie and uncle lived, they called it a chalet. It was essentially a mobile home
Yeah.
in the back of her mum's back garden in Finglas.
That was
That's-
such an old school thing to do, wasn't
That's
it?
where
Like,
they lived, yeah. That's where they lived when they were saving for the house. Now, they did do their saving and they ended up buying a house around the corner.
mm-hmm.
But, like, I don't feel, I must ask them, but I don't think that they would have ever been asked to, I think the chalet is still there, like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to ask them to rip it down, but because it's not a built
Yeah, I
thing.
suppose it's not a built thing. So, I mean, it could be mobile if it needed to be mobile.
Yeah.
You know?
You'd wonder. Yeah, I'm sorry about that situation now, because it does seem like a good idea in the
I
interim.
mean,
We actually spoke about that, me and my mum, and she was like, should the fucking 20 grand it cost you to build it, she'd have your deposit. So, do you know, all that kind of crack.
Absolutely.
They do seem like good if you have no other option. They do seem like a good thing, but obviously look into your planning permission. Well, she did say in her text she knows she shouldn't
have done it, yeah.
So there must have been something there.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, but sure, here, listen.
I just don't understand what's the difference between that and a cement shed.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, you never know. Like, again, we're just taking, this is just what we've been typed in. So we don't know the size.
That's
we don't
true.
know
We don't know the height. Yeah,
We don't know
it
the weight.
could be a 3-story fucking.
Yeah, my log cabin. It's like fucking 5 beds.
I know we don't mean to take the piss or anything, but like we're just kind of speculating because we're not too sure of the thing. We don't want to sound.
In fact, I'd love your
ignorant.
log cabin.
Yeah, I'll move in.
At this
with
point,
you.
I'd like anything. I'll move in with you. Yeah, I'll move in. So, I'm so happy this topic is getting spoke about. I was renting a house for 12 years and my landlord wanted it back last September. My son is 13 tomorrow, my daughter is 4. I was getting rent allowance, but because I worked a couple of hours a day, they cut my payments and my rent was $600 monthly out of my own pocket. That didn't give me much money to save for a house and take care of bills, schools and everything else. I'm on the housing list 13 years now and I've never ever been offered a place. I'm currently living in my uncle's 1-bed apartment with my 2 kids and we sleep in the sitting room.
Oh.
I'm over with DCC every week and they just brush me off. I know plenty of people that have been housed before me and every time I say to DCC, they say my case is different because I have a home. I actually know people where their kids are babies and they've gotten places. I don't have a home. Myself and the kids have no lives since last September. It's hell.
So this is basically like what I was saying earlier on. I would imagine, listener, if you declared yourself homeless and moved into a hotel with your 2 kids, which you obviously don't want to do, and I don't blame you, you'd probably be given a house quicker. That's the thing. But there's nothing stopping somebody saying, Sass, have nowhere to go, even though the person that I know has family, has had somewhere to go,
Yeah.
but made the conscious decision to go, declare themselves homeless, move into the hotel. You know, and I'm making it sound as easy as piss. It could have been a huge decision for her, but it's just what happened. But I would say, if you, and I'm not telling you to do that obviously, but if you did move into a hotel, but that's what a lot of people are doing. And they're doing it because people are getting houses. It's just very easy for them to do. But it's terrible that their class and you living in your uncle's sitting room in his 1-bedroom apartment as that being a suitable home for, what she say, 13 years and 4 years. That's ridiculous. Like,
I think, like, again, this goes back to what I was saying earlier about, like, your mental health. Like, how helpless do you have to feel for someone to fucking listen?
How bad
like,
of a situation?
how bad of a situation do you have to get to the brink of, like, you think you might, like, because I know for a fact, like, I know we moan and I know I'm like, I'm in my dad's back room, but I'm fucking very lucky. Like, I'm absolutely blessed. I'm like sitting in a nice house. I'm, you know, surrounded by, you know, people that don't mind that I'm there and don't mind that my fella's here either.
Yeah.
And I totally get that. But again, it just goes back to that whole kind of thing that it's like, what is a year of your mental health worth? To feel that hopeless every single day, to feel like you don't know when it's going to happen. And especially if she's been at that a year now. How is she going to feel in 2 years if it hasn't happened?
Since September, yeah.
You're just not going to think that it's ever going to happen for you. You know? And then that's even worse.
And then the thing is as well, say for somebody like her who is a single mother, she was getting rent allowance and then it got cut back because she started working
a few days. Yeah.
Like, let people get on their fucking feet before you start doing that.
That's what I don't understand. And again, I think it's just because they're like, well, rules are rules, and if one person tries to do this and if another person tries to do that, and if this happens and that happens, and if I'd like, you literally want to put a bullet in your head.
Now, in fairness, I can see the other side of the spectrum, that if you heard somebody who was on social welfare for whatever reason, who was working, was still getting kind of payments and stuff like that, or didn't get their social welfare cut, there would be uproar about that. You understand it. But like that, it's down to the individual situation. Like, let that girl get back on her feet.
Yeah.
Before
there's just no support, is there? There's absolutely no fucking support. It's yes or no. There's no grey area over here, and that's where people are really struggling.
That kind of feels like she's between a rock and a hard place. She could be on social welfare, a full social welfare, costing the government or the council or whatever amount of money, and have that situation. But she obviously wants to work, so she goes out and gets work, and she gets penalised for it before she can even get on her fucking feet.
Before she can even breathe. Like, yeah.
It's like, it's kind of, I don't know.
It's a fucking mad one anyway.
It does me bleeding head in.
Here's a different kind of one. Just a bit more on the positive side, I will say. Myself and my husband bought our house 3 years. I was 25, he was 27, and in the middle of studying part-time for a degree and working full-time. We stayed living at home. I lived in his mum's and stayed in my own mum's 1 or 2 nights. We paid rent to both of them, saved our arses off, and never rented. We paid 140k. It's an old house and we absolutely love it, and we're so happy because the years before buying were stressful being at home and saving. We got married last year and coming home to our own 4 walls was very lovely. So many of our friends haven't bought a house. They either come in and look down their noses as our house isn't a new build, or are holding out for social housing because that's what they're entitled to. That's fair enough. People are entitled to whatever, but I would rather see people actually in need of these schemes availing of them rather than people not arse and having more and more kids just go up on the lists. There's also snobbery, like I say, of people only wanting new builds and for a forever home. Would my house be our forever home? I'm not sure. At the moment, yes it is, but if we have kids, maybe we'll outgrow it. Who knows? But at the same time, beggars can't be choosers. We could have afforded a house worth 270k, but thought, fuck that. Why would we tie a noose around our neck when we want to enjoy life? Whereas others almost take out these larger mortgages just to say they can afford it, but really they are struggling. Why are we not living in our means and enjoying our lives? Why do we have to prove how much money we have to people? It's crazy. On a side note, my advice to anyone would be not to rent if all possible. Our mortgage is $590 a month.
Wow.
Between the two of them. There are houses on our road for rent, $1,700 a month.
It's crazy, isn't it?
That is fucking daylight robbery in my opinion, and I wish I could tell those people renting those houses that they're being robbed. And to be honest, it's just fucking horrible. People taking advantage of people in need.
Yeah.
So a few sections to this. As far as forever homes going, I think forever home is just such a fucking it's a loddy-doddy situation, or it's a loddy-doddy statement, I feel. Because you don't know what your forever home is until you move into that home. Like, my mum and dad never expected that this was going to be their forever home when they bought the house. They always thought they'd end up living somewhere else.
Right.
Things just happen. Life happens and you just move on. And I just feel like you can't really have snobbery, and especially when you go into buying a house, you should never go into a house being like, this isn't going to be our forever home.
Oh no, definitely
You know,
not.
you can't be like, I'm just going to buy this and this. Because what happens, like, what could happen? You could fall pregnant. This, like, loads of other things could happen. Somebody could be in an accident. Somebody could not be able to work anymore. Somebody could lose their job and find it really difficult to get another one. Like, there's so many what ifs. So I will say, just if anybody has that mentality of buying somewhere and being like, it's not my forever home, maybe think about it differently.
And it's so funny because when I talk about buying a house, I say forever home, meaning that's going to be the house that I'll own. My first, maybe I should be saying first home. But like, I am going into it with that mentality that this is our home now. This is unless something happens, this is our forever home.
Yeah, this is our home. Like, I can't believe we're buying our house.
Yeah, like this is our happily ever after. This is what.
But then at the same time, I will say to people that are feeling just a little bit shitty about like being separated from their families, it isn't forever either. Like, if there's enough will, you'll find loads of positives about where you're going and like where you are. Just like there is with everywhere, you know, you'll find so many positives about where you are, and then you'll also find negatives about where it is. But you kind of have to have that opinion that, like, you know, if you don't want it to be your forever home, maybe it won't be.
No, yeah.
You know, so it's kind of, again, it's a tough mental state to be in, because you don't want to go in and being like, I'll get these for now. I really want the Converse, but I'll get these €6 pennies runners and they'll be fine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you end up loving your pennies runners.
Yeah.
You fucking wear them everywhere. Your favourite pair of shoes.
Do you know what? I actually wish that I had this conversation with somebody before me and Adam made the decision to move to rent in Summerhill.
Really?
Because we went into it with that mentality, like.
Really?
Yeah, we were like, sure, look, it's the only house that'll take us. We'll move in. It's not forever.
Yeah.
We just really wanted out of the situations that we were in. Well, I was living in my ma's.
You want it out, and that's fine. You're going to chase that out anyway.
And we did say, like, at the time, we were like, you know the way you go in with all these intentions, like, oh yeah, we'll rent there and we'll save. Not a fucking hope can you rent and save at the same time. Like, you're only kidding yourself if you think that's going to
we're
be
not
the
in that
sitch.
kind of country.
We're
not in that kind of, like, unfortunately,
It's
we're
one
not
or
in
the
that
other.
country. No.
Yeah, and it's, I said it before and I'll say it again, it used to be that you'd rent because you couldn't afford a mortgage, and now it's the complete opposite.
Backwards.
People are going for mortgages because they can't afford rent. Like, it's fucking disgraceful.
It is, it's crazy. And I do, but again, I will just say that whole kind of forever home, and also I've never really seen any snobbery around new builds, because again, I feel like new builds are stunning because they're new, but you're also fucked on square footage, and that's just that. You're not,
and parking and
garden and loads of other bits and bobs, and the masters are never as big and all that other kind of shite. So there is that, but then again,
I really don't understand the snobbery around new
builds.
Ireland's new builds.
No, not Ireland's new builds, where they're like, we've just have to see where there was that one house. We're just gonna put 5 in there. Just 5 of them, 5 brand new ones, but they'll be new builds.
Unless if you're buying the fucking show house, you're not doing well for yourself.
No.
Don't be like gloating about it.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, don't be like thinking that you're doing something other.
No.
Now I do have a friend who bought, like, she bought a not new build. What she call it, like a normal house? Like, I don't know. Yeah. It wasn't a new build anyway.
Second home.
Redid the whole thing. Because it used to be like a rented house, if you get me. So she, tore the whole fucking thing up. Like, everything. We were painting the whole time. And she was like, would never do it again.
Really?
Would never, could never, will never do it again. Absolutely not. Under no circumstances. Whatever about running somewhere and maybe doing up a bedroom or doing up, like, changing the kitchen a bit. She was like, I will never do this again.
Really?
And I totally get it, because it's 2 personalities. Me and Tom fucking argue about what colour couch we get.
Yeah.
Imagine arguing about what kind of tiles you're going to have.
Yeah.
Or what kind of bathroom layout. Or what way you're going to do, like, what colours you're going to do the whole fucking house. You'd want to put a bullet in your brain.
Well, you see,
by the end of it. And some people are like, that's the fun of it. It's the fun of it if one person's passive.
Well, I feel like me and Adam's situation would be, I'm not saying like we'd be so much better in that situation, but Adam is a painter and decorator.
Yeah.
And I have the eye for the old interior design. So I think we'd work well as a team. My dream would be to go into a house, a second-hand home, with the bit of square footage, the great back garden, the actual driveway.
Same, yeah. Oh, a place that you can park your car.
I would love that.
See, sometimes I'm like, I'd love that, and then other times I'm like, fuck that. And then, like, I find it gas when Tom's like, I'd love to build, and I'm like, you won't even pick a holiday fucking hotel.
It's true.
Do you know, you act like every time that I pick a hotel that you're going to fucking purchase the whole thing. It's going to be like multi-block by Tom.
And
do you know what I mean?
7 o'clock in the morning, thinks he's fucking Dermot Bannon.
Yeah, literally Dermot Bannon, exactly. It's like, I'd love to build my own house. I'm like, what's that going to look like?
Yeah.
Because you'd add on around 9 things, and before I know it, I'd have like a Megatron house.
Yeah.
With random arms and legs sticking out of it. This is where I put my knives. This is where I put my pots and pans. Like,
everything, you push it and it comes out.
literally, I paid 50 extra grand for it, but I'm really happy I have it.
I've got that boils the kettle.
Literally. But it's kind of shit because it doesn't really work. I got the speaker that's built in, but it doesn't actually work. Like,
doesn't fucking understand my accent.
Yeah, literally. But it is so true.
Oh,
I think everybody's always like, I'd love to build my own house. Yeah, we fucking all would. But reality
would.
is we're not gonna.
And where are you going to build it as well? Do you want to move to the back arse of nowhere? Because I fucking certainly don't.
Do you want to go into scary back roads where there's going to be a load of bodies with you?
Yeah, seriously.
Nah. The answer is nah. Absolutely nah. Right, we'll do maybe 1 or 2 more, and then I think we'll wrap it up because I think we're over.
Too fucking annoyed.
We're over fucking, we're over the thing. We're over it. So here do we go. Oh, this is a juicy one. Writing to you about the housing crisis topic. Myself and my boyfriend are both first-time buyers working full-time and looking for a home together. For us, the most frustrating thing has been waiting for a mortgage approval and also dealing with the people wanting to sell their house. I would definitely suggest going to a mortgage advisor because they do all the work for you and liaise with the banks. We went to our mortgage advisor early 2019 and only a few days ago we got approval in principle. We found a house we love for a great price in a nice country village, both from Kildare, and we want to stay in Kildare, but the couple selling the house has made it such a hassle. We put an offer in on this house in March and they won't budge on it because they're trying to sell another house. They need to sell the 2 houses in order to buy their dream home and have had no offers or interest in the other house, so they cannot sell us our one.
Ah, that's so annoying.
Oof, that's tough. At this stage, there'll be no movement until after the summer. It's so frustrating because myself and my boyfriend want to start our life together properly. We're both 24 and we have been together 6.5 years and we're both living at home trying to save. I'm unhappy in my job and I can't do anything about it until we have our home and our mortgage.
That's the thing.
Oof. It's so hard to actually find a house that has a good energy rating for a good price in a decent area. We want to start a family, so we're looking for a family home and it's incredibly difficult. I know we're not nearly as badass as others. Our parents are so supportive and we're lucky to be at home saving, but it's just so fucking frustrating. We've started looking at other houses again now and the prices, especially being in North Kildare, they're close to Dublin prices unless you want to move to the middle or the south. Cannot sell one to us until they have them both gone. We're both 24, living at home, saving. I know a lot of people have it way worse. We're so lucky we're able to be at home and save, but we want to start our life living together. Sorry, rant over. Love the podcast. Yous are both unreal. I think she was just summarising in that last message.
Okay, yeah. That is really annoying though.
That's a tough one, isn't it?
Actually, can I just say, first off, both 24, together 6.5 years. Like, enough there for a mortgage, wanting to start a family. You're on the fucking ball.
You're on the ball.
I wish I was like that when I was 24. Seriously.
When I was 24, I was like, how many holidays can I go and get like, pissed on?
How many bottles of Wicked can I get down in 10 minutes? That's what I was like.
Quite literally.
Fucking fair play to you. Jesus, you really have your shit together. Yeah, you are in actually a much better position. Look at the 2 of us.
Yeah. Fucking pushing. I'll be 30 this time next year.
Seriously. Yeah, no.
Fuck.
No, it is though, and it's like that. It doesn't even matter the situation. It doesn't matter how lucky you are in comparison to others. Everybody has a problem around this.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? It's like
really
all these
annoying
little things, and then I also feel shite about the fact that like they've to wait to sell their other home to get their dream home.
Yeah.
But then again, that would like if they sold you their home, where would that put them? Would they have to go to a hotel? Would they have to rent? You know, all that kind of stuff, and then they're sitting around waiting for their other home to be sold. But then would they not sell you that house and live in the other house?
Yeah.
Do you get me?
Surely.
And then sell that house while they're living in that house.
Yeah.
And then go and buy their fucking dream home.
And obviously, I think
Forever
it's a bit
home.
more complex than the 2 of us talking about it.
Yeah, me just taking the top line off and being like, simple, figured it out. Send that back to them. They'll love it. Like, Solved. Done. Brilliant. Next problem. Let's figure it out.
It knocks it on the head, and then it actually, I mean, imagine the difference, right? And I know this is quite deep, but the difference it's going to make to the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Whether they get this house or have to go to look for another house, and then the clock is ticking as well, especially with the prices in houses going up.
Yeah.
It's really affecting this girl now. Do you know what I mean? She's going to have to look in North Kildare as well. And I've done it before. I underestimated the size of Kildare. Kildare is big. Fucking enormous.
Very big.
So like simply going to the, what did she say, the east, the west or the south, it's the big fucking difference.
Yeah, there is a massive difference, yeah.
Kildare. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you're talking probably like an extra 30-minute commute.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And it's so fucking... The traffic in Kildare is ridiculous.
Oh, the traffic.
But,
Jesus.
Jesus, no, I can't be dealing with Kildare.
So
But, yeah, no, I feel you. Oh, that's irritating. I'm sorry to hear that now. Hopefully it all works out. Let us know.
Let us know. Yeah, let us
It
know
would
if
have been nice
everything's...
as well if you could have moved in during the summer. Like, fuck off being annoying like that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, true. Like the summer kind of is the time you want to move in, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, because you're kind of like, woo!
Exactly, yeah.
Summertime.
Summertime.
Feeling summer fun.
Yeah, she could just have like barbecues out the back after they've had a long day of hauling.
Here, lads, as I always say, if you're after buying a house and you can't afford the furniture, a mattress on the floor and a blow up chair.
Yeah.
Or a bean bag. It's almost half the crack because you'll always remember that.
Yes.
You'll always be like, do you remember when it was absolutely gas? We had absolutely no money. So
Yeah.
me and Tom, when we were in Cambridge, and we slept on a mattress on the floor.
Yeah.
But it was great. I mean, we dressed the mattress. The mattress was lovely.
Yeah.
But what happened was we bought a bed. Tom built the bed. It broke immediately.
Ah, stop.
Yeah, so we had to return the bed. And then we were just like, fuck it. Do we really want to have to spend like 500 quid on another bed when we could actually get like maybe a TV or like, something that we wanted, or a couch or something? Can't even remember what we spent on.
Yeah, no, you can make it real romantic as well.
Romance.
Candles.
Yeah, get your candles out and off.
Just don't set the mattress on fire.
Yeah, so getting the candles out. So, the person who wrote into us earlier saying that you can get help to buy and rebuild Ireland together wrote back to me.
Oh, fair play to
Great,
you.
thank you.
Really
You're on the ball.
Thank you.
So the builder gets the first time buyers and you apply to the council for your Rebuild Ireland. I've been approved in Dublin County City Council but not in Fingal. So I'm waiting on Fingal to be approved as there's more houses available. So if I wanted to buy a new home, I'll get an extra few quid towards a new build. But the builders make these houses more expensive, LOL. So you don't really win either way.
Yeah, the minute that the that's another point about the help to buy. The minute that the builders heard the government may be giving it up to 20 grand.
Yeah, again,
we
can't specify that one way.
You're more guaranteed 5 grand. But the minute that the builders heard that, the fucking prices of the new builds went up by 20 grand. So it's actually not helping you one fucking bit.
Yeah, I never think of that.
This thing about the caps really annoys me. That, and I understand what that girl, the farmers, farmer earlier on was saying about
farmer landlord.
Farmer landlord was saying about the amount of tax and stuff like that, and about the landlords. I understand that, but I also feel like if you're a landlord, it should be, there should be like an application process, and it'd be like, okay, so this is the most you can earn from it. From this thing that you get, which is still fair on you, but it's also fair on the tenant.
Yeah,
I feel like rental properties should be looked like that, especially in the private rental sector. Do you know what I mean? As opposed to some fucker in Castleknock renting out his house. Yeah. In like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
in fucking Carpenter's Town for 3 grand.
Yeah.
Then down the road, they're basically the same fucking house in Bardstown, and they're only getting 1,500 from it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's all about location. I think there needs to be an infrastructure for different
put in
areas.
Place in the way
even
that
for
it's
different
like
areas, just for different tiers, like for 2 beds, for 3 beds,
for 4 beds,
definitely. The BER rating. Do you know what I mean? Like there needs to be a fucking infrastructure there.
Yeah.
To make it fair, especially, like I wouldn't even say all the fucking time, but especially during the housing crisis.
Yeah.
When it's this bad. But
Sorry.
the thing is, most of the fucking politicians are landlords.
Yeah.
So nothing's ever going to get fucking done.
Sorry lads, if you can hear that in the background, for some reason there seems to be a child on my road who is squealing so loud I feel like it actually might be dying. I might have to pause it to run out and see if the child is alive and if I'm a witness to a fucking murder. What is going on? Like, shut the fuck up, because I've got a great one.
Okay. Sorry, okay.
Because I've got a super one here. So, opinions. Apparently we've among the highest mortgage rates in Europe. Surely if they were dropped, it would certainly help loads of people. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. 2, those who could actually get a mortgage are now buying places they don't even want for life because they can only afford small apartments or areas far from where they want. So that's fucking nuts. Working your arse off because your mortgage will be cheaper than rent, but ultimately you'll never get something you want. Example, couple starting a family buying a 2-bed apartment because that's the only option.
Yeah.
100%. 3, very unpopular opinion. Ooh, we love that. We have a lot of social housing. The problem is with the sense of entitlement. We all know people who have no intention of trying to get their own place and whose aim it is to get on the list if you're able to work. Obviously, if you've kids, a lot of people can't pay for childcare. You should be given a limited amount of time in social housing on the dole, so it's a step up, not a permanent fixture. So there's housing for those who really need it. Of course, property prices need to be whacked down so people can actually move on.
Absolutely.
Also true. Mm-hmm. 4, I worked in a direct provision centre and asked long-term staff members why some people who had their papers were there so many years while others seemed to move out so quickly, and was told that some people turned down what they're offered because it's not where their friends were, Blanche, like example Blanche, more than a 10-minute walk from the bus. I can see different sides to this argument, like when people are relocated and have to move their kids' schools. However, you shouldn't be allowed to be that picky. The vast majority don't get to live where they desire. And finally, with a housing crisis in the cities, go 20 minutes outside of Dublin and no housing crisis, loads of vacant units and decent houses, and rent so much cheaper. But our infrastructure is so shit, you be commuting hours and there's still small town mentality type places because there's no development in those areas.
Well, I think 20 minutes is a bit, like, we're 20 minutes from city centre, and it's just as bad in the suburbs as it is.
I think that's what they like. The commute is like absolutely outrageous. Like, there's no structure for that.
No.
Like, as I was saying,
I was only thinking today, why the fuck isn't there a Dublin Underground?
Oh, so basically I've got the answer for that. This is what a taxi man told me. So let's just, let's fucking put this on, let's not, make this 100% the most accurate thing ever. But basically a taxi man told me when the Brits had invaded us, we kicked them out just as they were starting to put in the plans for a tube.
Okay. So
if we had let them rule us for a little bit longer, apparently we'd have the tube. I was like, I don't know what you're getting at here, mate. I don't really, years of oppression. But he was like, I'm just saying, 20 more years.
What?
Well, I think he was accurate. I think I said this to Tom before.
What,
and
is
Tom
the
was
London Underground 100 years old? Like,
yeah, I think so. It's very old.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's really old. It's not it's not a new thing.
So
yeah. But now the way that we've built Dublin is that we couldn't do anything underground because of the way that, like, we've structured uneven things, if you get me. Like, I don't really know how it works.
Vaults and everything underground.
Yeah, we're fucking mad shit. Like, absolutely mad shit. So, like,
right, okay.
There you go. Like, yeah, I think very valid points.
I do. Oh yeah, absolutely. And that direct provision thing as well. That kind of annoys me. Like, well, any person coming in with a self-entitled thing, because I mean, obviously a lot of the people coming in from different countries who are in absolute turmoil in the countries that they're living in, absolutely more than welcome. Yeah. But I suppose I've let the people get into my head where you hear the stories. Yeah. You've never actually seen them yourself, but you've heard the stories. Yeah. You've heard of fucking Bolanley turning around to you one day back in Lagos saying, listen, come on over. I'm after getting my teeth done. I'm after getting this. I'm after getting that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? They're the stories that you hear. Obviously I know a lot of people who have emigrated here from Nigeria who are completely 100% genuine. Yeah. But you do always have that in the back of your mind. So when you hear of people who are refusing placements coming out of direct provision, it's like, why are you, what? Sorry?
Yeah, do you know I get that too, and you're just kind of like, sorry now.
And then you have
you're on direct provision because you need a house. You don't care what house, a house.
Fucking, like, you need help. Like, you're being given the help. Just please take it and then work your way up. Just give yourself a hot minute to get on the kind of the road to progression. Then do the rest yourself. Do you know what I mean? Because I also heard on the news today there was a girl, and she was unlisted. So she was born here 16 years ago. She went to primary school here, she went to secondary school here, and she did, because she's unlisted, she couldn't go into university, but she did a PLC course, got all distinctions in her, she did a course in law, she got all distinctions, and she applied for the CAO, got 2 offers from universities, but because she's unlisted, she can't take them. Because she's not a registered citizen of Ireland. So you have people like that who are really fucking trying. Do you know what I mean? They're really trying to get, progress and have a life. And, like, you wouldn't even tell she was in direct provision. Like, she was posher than me. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, really trying to make something of her life. And those people aren't being helped. It just seems fucked to me. Like, I'm so fucking glad. Can we talk about something fun next week, Carla, please? Jesus.
Got one more here. I think we'll do one more and then we might just have to leave it out. Leave a fucking out.
Leave a fucking out.
Right. Worked in hotel. Last summer had social housing stay with us. 4 out of 5 were fantastic. Really looked after their apartments and genuine people. Some horrible stories why they ended up in emergency accommodation. One family though wrecked not one but 2 apartments. Second one had to be contract cleaned and all inventory binned. Family in question didn't respect anything they were given and were in emergency accommodation because they had their house taken back from them due to not maintaining it. The parent was constantly asleep and the children left to their own devices. The eldest of the 5 of them was 8 years old. She got a house at the end of the summer and the others who were so good and respected everything were still left waiting. Boiled my blood, to be honest, at the time, having dealt with all of them.
Yeah.
There is those off cases though, isn't there?
But this is what I'm saying.
That's
about
humanity.
You always hear the horror stories and they do stick in the back of your head. And you don't want to be tarring everybody with the same brush, but sometimes you can't help it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Your brain just does it. I said this in the podcast about body image. You'd never say these things out loud, but you can't stop your head from thinking these things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You cannot help but resent that.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get that.
It's so I resent it so much that person now has their forever home, and they clearly don't deserve it. The kids clearly deserve better as well. So fucking annoying. It
is sad about the kids as well. I think that's a little bit heartbreaking because you're just kind of like left to their own devices again.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to like bringing up children and like children are just like they're such a fucking massive decision.
Yeah.
Why have 5?
Yeah.
Under 8 years old.
Yeah.
It you know it just bears. It just fucking begs me to ask the question like what?
Yeah. No. Oh, I know.
It's fucking madness. Okay, I've got one more. I'm 26 and I feel like I'm the exception to the rule. My boyfriend and I just bought our first home. We bought a 2-bed apartment in Castleknock, mainly because his family live in the area and we want to be close. I should mention that we're all originally from Kerry. We moved up 2 years ago and I had to live with family for 6 months as I was working retail. If I hadn't got my current job, I don't think we would have been able to ever afford to rent somewhere. In the 19 months we rented our 1 bed, we had spent over 26 grand in rent alone. Our rent was 1,400 a month in a rent pressure zone. We left last week and it's up for rent now for 1,600 a month. It's illegal, but the RTB won't listen to complaints from past tenants, and what a current tenant is going to know what the last person paid or is going to report their own landlord. It made more sense for us to try and buy. The mortgage repayments are less than the rent and we have more security, but I know that if I'd stayed in retail, I don't think we would have been able to even rent at all. We were able to avail of the help to buy, but it's based on the tax we've paid over the last 4 years. So because I don't earn very much alone, it wouldn't have been worth anything to me. We paid nearly 100k more for a 2-bed apartment than what my friends paid for a 5-bed house and one of the most sought after areas in our hometown.
In Kerry.
Yeah. But that's like, I mean, again, if I like, you know.
She was saying there about the help to buy scheme as well.
Yeah.
Being of kind of fuck all use to her.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, that is tough. And then like it's just weird that the mortgage repayments are less than our rent. Also, it kind of fucks me off that you can't say, for instance, with the whole, especially with a housing crisis, that we need to stop. Well, most people need to stop renting, go live somewhere where they don't have to pay that much rent, and then save and prove that they can save.
Yeah.
Why can't it just be that you've been renting for so many years,
you can move on to that. You can move on to that mortgage.
And just let it spill over.
Yeah.
Without having to stop to pay the fucking deposit. Like, just show the way you've been living for the last... Like, it fucks me off that we can't do that because everybody would be so much better off.
Would, and they but also we'll kind of get rid of a lot of the housing crisis process because people would just go straight from like paying 1,400 a month into 1,400 a month mortgage.
Yeah. And they probably clear their mortgages quicker.
Yeah, definitely. But that's what they don't want that though. That's the problem. Like no fucking bank.
But it's not got to do. It's not the banks that are gonna inevitably, if that decision was ever to be made, that is the exception to the rule. Like it would be the government that would say, right, banks, you need to look at what they've been paying in rent. They're allowed to spill over now. They're allowed to just look for a house and continue paying the amount of rent, or that's the proof that they can actually pay for the mortgage. They don't need a fucking deposit. Because they've done this.
They've done all this. Yeah, they've been proven that like they can do this. And if anything changes, well then, kind of situation.
Yeah, then you need a guarantor or whatever. Some sort of infrastructure to make sure that there's no kickback, like in case it all goes tits up. But at the same time, like, I just can't understand why rent isn't taken into account.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people can't afford to rent and save. Not in Dublin anyway.
Okay, I'm actually just one more because this one's really interesting.
You're like a child at night.
No,
Mom,
but this
just five more
minutes. I think this is a totally different thing that I've ever heard before.
Okay.
So hi Jen and Carla, hope you're well. Hi. My housing situation is unusual in that I bought a house in Ballymun last August through a housing scheme which offered a 30% discount on normal prices. More details here. Now I'm going to read this out and I need you to take it down because if I get 50 messages asking me what this is, I'm actually going to fucking put a bullet in my own brain and delete the Instagram. So it is www.oculann.ie/about. I'm one of the lucky 49, but the scheme should be up and running throughout Dublin, particularly, and obviously other countries too. I paid 178k for a 3-bed, terraced A2 rated house, 15 minutes from work, less than 5 minutes from the M50, and less than 20 minutes from the city centre by bike. I pay 687 monthly for my mortgage. I have a normal job, I'm a teacher, and if it wasn't for the scheme, I would have had to leave Dublin where I've been living and working for the past 6 years. The scheme works and the developers got the land from Dublin City Council at a discount, so they're the only ones looking to make a 5% profit. DCC has masses of lands and the lack of political willpower and effort to get the scheme up and running is appalling. We'll be very interested to hear your housing podcast.
Wow.
So
it's like a mortgage lotto.
Yeah, it's like, I was about to say, it's like a lotto. It's like a discount lotto.
Wow. Oh, that would be worth looking into to see what areas it's available in.
So one more time, it's www.oculann.ie/about.
Okay.
For more info.
Very good. That'd be
Mad interesting.
Yeah.
That'd be defo worth it looking into.
Definitely, yeah.
So
she was the lucky one out of 49, so it's between 50 people, is it?
Yeah.
Obviously that have like our
I'm one of the lucky 49.
Wow, okay.
And she's saying, but this scheme should be up and running throughout Dublin particularly, and obviously other counties too. So she's basically saying, I think they only give 50 people or 49 people it, and she just happens to be one of them.
Okay.
But it should really be up running in other counties, and it should be more of a scheme that rolled out.
Okay, so that's worth looking into, see what the actual statistics are on that, like what areas, because like what she say, Ballymun.
Yeah.
You probably noticed that it is in areas like disadvantaged areas.
But like Ballymun nowadays not so disadvantaged.
No, well, like, but neither is Finglas if you know them. Do you know what I mean? But they are called, they're classed technically.
It's disadvantaged areas.
Not from my mouth.
Yeah.
Disadvantaged areas.
True. Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. I'd only fucking love to move back to Finglas. I genuinely would.
Yeah.
I love Finglas.
Yeah.
I love the people. They all look out for each other. Like certain areas, obviously, but that's about everywhere.
Yeah.
But like, I'd love to move back to Finglas. Really would. So you go.
There you go.
I don't class that as a disadvantaged area, but anytime you hear it on the news, it's always bad news, isn't it?
Yeah. So, well, yeah, there's that too.
There's that too. Yes, I must look into that. See what the crack is about that. Thank you so much for everyone's participation. Hope you didn't get too fucked off listening to that.
You probably did, and I don't really blame you. Yeah. Especially if you listen to that in the car, like that's road rage material.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's so fucking
bricks.
Next week on the podcast, we will be talking about
astrology.
Because honestly, I need a fucking break.
I do need a break, but also this is like my time to shine.
Because Carla's the Cancer.
I'm a Cancer.
Carla's the Cancer.
I'm a Cancer. I had my golden birthday, which means I was 29 on the 29th. It's the date and the age. It's a really big birthday. I had a fantastic time. I went parasailing, went off the bucket list. Astrology is great, and I can read loads of astrology things.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to learning.
I'm motherfucking Mystic Meg, yo.
Yeah, because it actually freaks me out when I turn. Somebody goes, "What's your star sign?" They say Sagittarius, and they go, "Oh, so you are?" And I'm like, "How the fuck did you know that? How many star signs are there?" Pop quiz.
12.
So, like, how do you know that much about 12 star signs off the fucking bat?
I know all of them. I know the dates that they start. I know the traits of them. Really, I'm really into it.
So it's going to be fun. Give us your thoughts.
Yes, give us your thoughts. Actually, this is something that I want to shout out.
Do you believe in them?
Yeah, do you believe in them? Do you feel like you are a certain way? Does anybody get really into their birth charts, their moon charts? Does everyone know what? I might actually do a few little bits on the stories about this because I might get the flavours going. But
give it a bit of that flavour.
Get that flavour. That Stassan flavour. Flavor. But if you believe in birth charts, if you believe in, do you feel like you pull more from your moon sign, your ascending sign?
Do you believe in Mystic Meg? Do you believe in the horoscopes in the Herald?
Oh my god, do you remember them? I used to read them and be like, I can't believe I'm about to be rich next week. It's fantastic.
I know. Do you know what? It was so funny. I was this is just a quick. Oh no, I'll save it for the podcast.
Yeah, I was about to say, are we about to go into? Are we about to go into horoscopes?
No, we won't. Thank you for listening. Please do get involved. WhatsApp 085 725 2127 or DM us on the Insta, the Unpopular Opinion 2019.
XO.
Bye.
Bye.